everyone, welcome to GoLocal Live on this Friday, February 9th. I'm Molly O'Brien. Thanks for joining us in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Let's start off today by talking about something super fun, super cool, beer, right? Why not? It's Friday. I'd like to say hello and welcome to one of the co-owners of a new brewery and tap room called Beer on Earth, Paul DeBiase. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. Perfect.
All right,
you
cool.
Nailed it.
All right, cool. So Beer on Earth, super cool. Your backstory is really interesting. And I'm super excited to talk about this. Opening a new brewery and tap room, hopefully coming soon. So before we get into the backstory, how you got started, talk to us a little bit about plans for when and where you'll be opening.
Okay, yeah. So the brewery's going to be located in North Kingstown, 6670 Post Road. It's going to share the same space and cohabitate with the Great Harvest Bread Company, which is a bakery that I currently own and operate. We've been there for about 7 years, so we're basically just going to add the brewery to the same space and grow it there, and then hopefully at some point move it out to a bigger location when the demand justifies. So our goal is to be open before summertime. So as long as we don't have any setbacks and everything keeps on going smoothly, which it has to this point, I think we should be on track for that. So Memorial Day weekend is kind of the unofficial goal. So we'll see.
That's incredible. Congratulations. And I always think it's important to give, you said, you want to focus on the beer, not on the other company. So, and I totally understand that and agree with it. But, in Rhode Island terms, we always say, okay, well, where is something going to be? And we talk about it in directions. Oh, it's where this and this used to be.
Right.
So it's kind of helpful when you have a landmark to put it in, right?
Absolutely. Definitely.
And that's also, you've said, it's kind of integral to your business plan because it's helped you get through and kind of get things up and running. And you said it's a lot less risky because you're already established in a location, right?
Right, definitely. I mean, by opening in the same spot where we currently run the bakery, the building is already outfitted. We don't have to invest anything in building it out. All we have to do is bring in some brewing equipment and set it up, and then just go from there. The town of North Kingstown has been very supportive, and they're very excited about having us in there, brewing some really good beer. And they already having operated a business in town, I think helped kind of get things moving as well, because we already had the proper zoning and licenses in place on the local level. So then we just had to proceed with the federal and state licenses, which we've got our federal license and we're in the process. We should have our state license hopefully within the next couple of weeks, and then we can move forward.
Oh, that's very exciting to be able to get the rules down pat.
Yeah.
And then kind of kick things up, get things in action. Beer has kind of kicked things in gear. We're really establishing a beer brewing community in Rhode Island, which is exciting. And so to add one more into the mix, I think is really neat. Let's get into the backstory. So you and co-owner, your partner, Adam, got things started a ways back. You are kind of a craft beer enthusiast and a home brewer. So you've been doing this for a while, just kind of on your own. How did you get into brewing beer?
Yeah, just I've always had a passion for great beer. Adam is same, and we have just enjoyed the great beers that are being made by the local breweries and craft breweries in other states, regionally, and also in other parts of the country. Whenever I travel somewhere, and I think it's the same thing with Adam, we try to find a brewery. Most of my research of areas has to do with finding breweries there before I go. So it's always good to try some different things. I have certain styles that I enjoy, but it's always good to sometimes go outside of the box, and a lot of the craft breweries make some really, really out there stuff, and it's always good to try different places. But yeah, we've Adam and I have both been home brewers. I've tinkered with it basically my whole adult life, from when I got a Mr. Beer kit when I was probably in my mid-20s, and it's kind of come and gone over the years as life gets busy with children and jobs and things like that. But it's always been a passion of mine, and the idea of opening a brewery has, really been in the back of my mind for maybe 5 years or so. And Adam, for his part, was kind of had actually been down the road of maybe planning to start a brewery at one time in his life, and it didn't work out, but we were fortunate enough to meet each other and share the same goals, have the same passion for beer and for quality, and it's been a great fit. So hopefully we'll be successful and it'll continue for a long time.
Let's get into the actual beer itself, because it's my understanding, and you talk about this, that when you both went into partnership together, you actually bought some of your equipment from Job Lot, which I think is so amazing. Like, that's how it kind of started.
Yeah.
But then things kind of got serious when you won. You got recognition, home brewing recognition, some awards in New Hampshire. Talk about how you knew what you were doing was actually right, and how things got serious, and now looking forward into opening up a tap room and brewery.
Yeah, I think that was the validation. I mean, the goal from the time we started brewing together was to do it professionally. And I think it was last October or November, we entered a couple of beers into the New England Regional Homebrew Competition, which was held up in Manchester, New Hampshire. And one of the beers we were lucky enough to win a gold medal on, that was the style is called the California Common. Anchor Steam is the most notable beer, most well-known beer in that category. I was very happy that was the beer that won as well, because for me, Anchor Steam was really what I like to call a gateway beer. That was the beer that really kind of opened my eyes to some of the different things that were out there. I mean, when you're in college, beer has a different meaning a little bit.
Yes, it does.
Shall we say? My kids are maybe watching this, so but I may have indulged in a Bud Light or two back then, but
it's college, no shame in that. No
but
shame in that.
Anchor Steam is really what kind of opened my eyes in a lot of ways back in the probably mid '90s, and so to win for that category was really special for us. And we also won a bronze medal for a smoked brown ale that we made. So our plan is to brew beers that are kind of inspired by classic styles, but maybe have a little bit of a spin to them that make them more personal for us. Every one of our beers, we put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into, and we hope that comes across in the final product. Yeah, that's basically what kicked it into high gear and kind of gave us the confidence that, hey, maybe we can really do this. So
you thought, okay, it's not just us. We think our beer is good. Other people actually think
our
beer is decent too. So let's talk a little bit about the business itself. You said that once you guys get up and running, probably about 6 to 8 beers on tap. What can people expect when they head down there? You said it's important for you. I mean, just looking at the name itself, Beer on Earth. When people head down there, they come in, they grab a pint, they grab a tasting. What can people expect when they come down and see you once you do get up and running?
Yeah, so we'll have a tap room that we hope to be, warm and inviting, and an exciting place to come and hang out with a group of people who are all there for the same reason, because they love craft beer. Craft beer fans increasingly are a more diverse group. They come from all different genders and age groups and different walks of life, and we hope to do things to make it fun and encourage people to come and interact and just really have a good time and enjoy some great beer. We'll also have some take-home options as well. We're looking into some different options for canning, and we will bottle some of our beers and most likely have growlers for take-home as well. We want to keep a lineup of beers on tap at any given time that will span a wide range of different styles. As I said, globally inspired in some cases, but also, everybody loves a good, hazy New England IPA. I do too, but there's definitely other beers out there, and I think that we we hope to maybe in some ways get people to expand their horizons a little bit and think outside the box and maybe try some classic styles that maybe get overlooked a little bit in this day and age where, you know, IPAs are all the rage. So we'll have a couple of those too, but we'll also have something light, something dark, something a little full-bodied, maybe something a little hop forward, something a little malt forward. I personally am a big fan of the kind of yeasty, like Belgian style beers, and also some wheat beers are going to be pretty well represented. We had to do that with the bakery there, so you know, so wheat beers will kind of be a big part of what we do as well. So
got to represent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Your other half.
So something for everybody, and you know, some good food options on tap in there too. So.
That's really exciting. Talk to us a little bit about the name, Beer on Earth. I mean, I think that's pretty interesting and exciting, and it's part of your mission too, incorporating our planet and being kind, right?
We're absolutely, like, you know, we're all in this together. Kind of is the idea. You know, so minimizing the negative environmental impacts that breweries can have is definitely something that is very important to Adam and I, and it's something that we plan to put a lot of thought and effort into, you know, as we establish what our processes are going to be and how different things are handled. You know, I've talked with a couple of farmers that I've gotten to know through business at the bakery and farmers markets. So we're going to use our spent brewing grains. We're going to go to feed livestock at farms from, you know, people that I've met, and try to minimize the water waste and any negative impact that can have on runoff and things like that. So all of these things are things that we're going to focus on. We're also going to another important thing for us is you know, we want, like, as a craft beer lover, you know, I am very curious about what is in the beers that I get. So being very transparent with the ingredients that we use in our beers is something that is going to be given priority as well. We're going to use you know, as many local ingredients as we can whenever we're able to do so. We also, you know, plan to use, you know, we're not going to use any filtering. We're not going to do any pasteurization. It's all going to be like natural. Some of our beers will be naturally carbonated. Some, when it fits the style, some will be forced carbonated, but we definitely feel like you can't rush it. You know, and great beers sometimes take time, and you know, you got to give it that time, and that's just always focus on quality and trying to be a positive, you know, impact on the area surrounding you. So that's all these things are very important to us.
Yeah, I think that's neat that it's important to your mission to focus on the surrounding environment. So being the fact that you have gone into it with the idea that you want to reduce the impact that your business is having on the community, and just being able to reduce the waste. I think that's pretty powerful.
Right.
In your mission as you move forward. And then also, it's nice, people want to know what they're putting into their bodies. Whether or not it's alcohol or not, you still want to know what you're putting into your body. So being able to have that transparency.
Right.
I think it's also what was cool too, when you go, like, at least for me, when I go to do a wine tasting, a beer tasting, coffee tasting, chocolate tasting, whatever it is, it's nice to be able to sit down and chat to whoever is behind the counter. And know, like, tell me a little bit about this. Tell me about your process.
Yeah, right.
So being able to
Absolutely.
have that transparency, plus someone knowledgeable like yourself. Oh, what do you put in here? What's in this?
Right.
So that's important, right?
Absolutely, and us, Adam and I, being the brewers, you know, having a presence in the tap room there, being there when customers are there is something that is definitely. I mean, I love talking about beer. So the plan is for us to have a very strong physical presence in there and be there to talk to people and be able to spend time. And anybody has any questions about a particular beer, you know, we'd love to be able to talk to you about it. And yeah.
And they can ask you, are you still using that stuff you bought at Job Lot?
There you go. And I think that's as soon as our new equipment gets delivered, I think that
that stuff's gonna go.
we love Job Lot, but yeah, the 30 quart kettle might be a little too small at that point. So
not enough, but fun way to say you got started. So before we let you go, Paul, we have to talk about the graphic design and the art imagery that's involved with the labeling, the packaging, the design. I mean, it is
Right.
visually stunning, and we do have to say artwork because you are using a New England artist.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about
Yeah.
this and what people can expect because it is stunning.
So we're fortunate enough to have the services of Paul Andrus Jr. He's a good friend of Adam's, and he has been working with us doing our artwork with our logos and working on our label design. And yeah, we're really very lucky to have his input. He's an extremely talented artist, local artist, and you know, we put a lot of thought and effort into the beers and designing the beers and developing them, and we feel like they deserve an equal amount of effort and thought that goes into the packaging that contains them. So you know, with that being said, yeah, we Paul is like I said, an extremely talented gentleman, and we're very happy to have him part of the team. And you know, he's going to be doing our label design, and you know, like, he's already done a great job with our logo. And so yeah, we're very lucky to have the artwork that we have on our labels is going to be another pretty kind of central kind of theme, and something that also is kind of important to what we're trying to do. So that's yeah,
That's really neat.
we're lucky to have that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very everything that he does is so stunning and grabbing and eye-catching. So to be
Yeah, it
able to
really
incorporate that with your product, I can only imagine what your beer must taste like if that's
Yeah.
what you have representing you. So excited to try it. So Beer on Earth, hopefully opening up Memorial Day weekend. You'll keep in touch with us, I hope.
Absolutely. Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Keep us in the
Definitely
loop
will.
on when things are up and running. So Paul, thank you so much for joining
All
us
right,
today.
Molly,
I
thank you.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on GoLocal Live.
Thank you very much.
We're going to continue up with the show. Congratulations to you, and yeah, keep us in the
Okay.
loop. All right.
We'll do. Thank
All
you.
right, everyone, we're going to continue on with GoLocal Live here on Friday, February 9th. As we transition, I'd like to welcome and introduce our next emerging leader. Come on in, Kevin McGovern. Hello.
Hi, Molly. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Kevin is our next emerging leader. GoLocal Prov, along with the United Way, team up to identify emerging leaders in our community. So, Kevin, congratulations.
Thank you.
So excited to have you here today.
It's a pleasure to be here in Providence.
So we're welcome. So just to give a little introduction to you, Kevin is Assistant Vice President and Branch Manager of the Washington Trust Company. He's been a member of United Way's Rhode Island's Young Leaders Circle since 2010 and was involved of the chairman of its executive committee for a number of years. In addition to all of that work, he also is president of Exeter Town Council. And you're also involved with Cranston's Rotary. There we go. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a minute. So very active and involved with the community. So we have quite a bit to talk about today.
Sounds like it. Wow.
So Kevin, let's start off by talking a little bit about your involvement with the United Way of Rhode Island. How did you get involved volunteering, especially with the Youth Council?
Sure. So I got involved. Rich Vosio invited me to join. I knew him through banking. He said, we have this new group forming. I think you'd be great. So joined the group, started volunteering. We were really in the foundation, the formation period at that time. So I got pretty much right on the ground level, became a volunteer leader. You'd say worked my way up the ranks. So membership chair, vice chair, and then I was chair for several years before stepping aside to let somebody else take the reins and go from there. So been involved for a while.
What's it like for you to work with young people within Rhode Island and with the community?
It's great. I like working with my peers. That's when we say the youth, we're talking 20s, 30s, and 40-year-olds. So people that are my age. And I just like getting people involved. I think the millennial age group and the older Gen X's, or the younger Gen X's, don't have a bigger voice. So we're trying to encourage that voice in the community, whether it's through the nonprofit or the political world. I think is important. So.
I definitely think so too. Sometimes when people say millennial, it has a negative context, but I've learned that I am a millennial, so I try not to look so frown upon millennials,
I
right?
agree. I just found that out myself. I thought
know,
I was
right?
more of a Gen Xer, but I found I'm actually a millennial. So I kind
So
of
don't hate us all, world. We're not all so bad.
not bad, not bad at all.
We're not so bad, right? Let's talk a little bit about your work with the Exeter Town Council.
Sure.
You were elected president in 2014 and then re-elected in 2016.
Nope, other way around. Elected first in 14, elected president in 16.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
And it's my understanding that through the town council, you focus a lot on public safety and finances. Talk to me a little bit about why that work for you is so important, why you've continued to work on the town council.
I'm a lifelong Exeter resident. I moved a whopping 3 miles from the house I grew up in. My wife went down the hall. We bought her parents' house actually. So it's my home. And a lot of my friends still live in Exeter. Like Rhode Island, people don't leave Rhode Island, people don't leave Exeter. You live there, you grow up there, so it's home for me. And getting involved, I really wanted to make sure of public safety. In Exeter, we don't have a full-time police force. We have a part-time, a volunteer fire department. So really listen to EMA, listen to the fire chief we have, making sure that the policies we have in place and the ordinances really benefit everybody. One example is we had this unimproved road in Exeter, and fire trucks couldn't get down it, police and rescue from neighboring towns couldn't use it, and they really had a lot of reasons why it would be beneficial. So we looked at it from Exeter and felt this is a priority for us to reopen it. Proud to say last August we did reopen the road, made it from an unmaintained status to a maintained status so more people could use it, fire departments, and so now it's open. So
that's great. So that's one thing that you accomplished. Talk to us about some of the other goals that you hope to accomplish. Like you said, you've been a lifelong resident of Exeter. That has to be really neat. You've grown up there. You've seen your families grow up there. What else do you hope to do to improve the town that you're living in?
So I'd like to say that Exeter's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think there's just some small efficiencies in the town, whether we're duplicating efforts within our own municipal government, maybe see more duplication or sharing of services with other towns. And I think that would be a cost savings. And I also see more businesses come into Exeter. I think we have a reputation of being like the hick town, but I think we do have great opportunities. Going to your last, we do have our Exeter Brewery, the Tilted Barn. I know it's a big draw for people, so I'd like to see more businesses and more people kind of see what we have to offer in Exeter. So
Tilted Barn. Oh, you want to say it's a hidden gem, but it's not so hidden anymore.
No, not anymore.
It's tough to get there sometimes.
Yeah, there's a long wait in line. You have a good product, you have great owners, Matt and Cara. So, but yeah, Exeter we have Arcadia as well. So there's a lot to offer in Exeter. I'd like to see it showcased more.
Well, we'll do our best to make that happen then, right?
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about becoming an emerging leader, what you're doing within the community. How do you think that you're helping to make Rhode Island a better place?
I think I'd like to make it a better place just by getting more people involved. If you have the voice of small people, I think that's not representative. So to get more people involved and bring more voices to the table, like one of my mentors is Tony Maione, and he always talks about getting different people to the table, bringing that cohesive together. And that's what I like to do, try to get people my age involved so we can bring our voice. And then also looking at nonprofits, we are their future. If Tony's saying like they age out a lot, but if we can get new people in, it takes longer for them to age out if they're 20 than if they're 80. So
that's true. So United Way does great work here. Do you have some other nonprofits that you like to either help with donations or help fund and volunteer with? Or
I'm a big fan of the Boy Scouts. I grew up a Boy Scout.
Nice.
And then with Rotary, we do a lot of stuff within the Cranston community. We're doing a food drive right now through the schools. We just did one in Thanksgiving to help the local CCAP. So that's where a lot of my effort right now is going through the Cranston Rotary. That's
excellent. That's excellent. So you talked a little bit about one of your mentors. Are there other people within the community that you look up to?
I think like I like a lot of peers. Like I see when Amanda Heinsohn, also from United Way, she's another emerging leader, or at least I consider one. And she's someone I can bounce ideas off of. And then I'd say Maureen Solheim, one of my former managers, she taught me a lot about interactions and just listening. Sometimes we listen to talk. We don't listen just to listen to the other person. I think there needs to be more of that, and she really helped teach that with me, or instilled that in me.
Yes, I think that is something we should all practice. Sometimes when we have conversations, it's just two people talking,
Right.
not listening.
Even if you're listening, you're just like, oh, how do I respond? You're not trying to think, what is this person trying to tell me, and how can I respond to them in a way that's beneficial for them, not just what's beneficial for me.
And do you think just by doing that, we can use that to help make the state better?
Absolutely. I think sometimes we hear a lot of voices, but nobody's listening. Who's on the other side of that? I think the story of The Little Prince, I remember reading it way back in high school, and there was all those people yelling at the end, but who is listening to each other? So.
Yeah, I definitely think that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you this, and this is always kind of one of our favorite questions on GoLocal. As an emerging leader, what have you learned from your success, but almost more importantly, what have you learned from some of your failures?
Ooh, some of my successes, just to be patient. I think that's the biggest thing, and to listen to people. I think I've gotten where I have, and all my successes have been from listening. Failures, I like to think of failures as it's an opportunity for learning. And managing people, you tell people, or in essence, I learned 2,000 ways not to make a light bulb. So it's all how you phrase it. If you think it's a failure and you look down on it, you're not going to grow from it. But if you're like, oh, this is a learning opportunity, and then regardless of what it was, it's like, all right, now I know something I didn't know before. So it's all, I think, in your mindset, trying to stay positive on it.
I definitely think learning opportunities can benefit us all. Let's talk a little bit about, you did mention how we can all help make Rhode Island a better place, but do you think just involvement, if we all just got a little more involved or all listened to each other, that really can help?
I think so. I really do. I think if you only have a small group of people leading everybody, you're not getting all of the message. Because somebody may have a perspective that nobody else considered, and that might help solve it, whatever the issue or the problem is. And I think more voices, or if you have something that you're really passionate about, you bring that passion to it, it's going to get more people involved, and you can help solve it.
Let me ask you this. I'll give you the option here.
Okay.
What inspires you in your day-to-day life? Or I'll give you the option, who inspires you in your day-to-day life?
I'll take who.
Okay.
For 200.
Okay. It's your interview.
I'm going to say, actually I'm inspired by my two boys, Patrick and Finnegan. What I do, I look at, that's my future. I want them to, when they get older, look up to me and say, that was my dad. My dad did all this good stuff. So when I start doing stuff where I'm active in the community, I'm like, I think of, all right, how are they going to look at this if this got published in the paper? And so that really who inspires me, even though they're only 3 and 6, like that's who I want to be proud of me. So.
Well, and exactly, you said it, that is our future. So if we're not working harder to make their generation better, then what are we working for?
Right.
Exactly. Let's talk about some fun here.
Okay, I love fun.
Let's talk a little bit about, I'm sure you love a lot of places in Exeter, but do you have a favorite place that you like to go or visit within the state?
Sure. I love Arcadia and Pawcatuck, or the rivers. Me and my friends, wife and kids all included, we do a ton of kayaking. We start up on the Wood River and in Exeter, go down to Hope Valley, we do the Pawcatuck, go down to Westerly, do a lot of hiking in Arcadia, so those are my favorite go-to places. And then after we swing by the Tilted Barn, but just I have beer on the mind since I heard that last one.
I know it's tough, especially when there's not any right here.
But we love the rivers. There's a lot of good hiking. I mean, it's not mountains, but we have good flat hiking here, good training. So spend a lot of times in the woods and on the rivers.
That's nice too. Good management areas too, and like nice safe places to be able to take the kids.
Absolutely. And then, I mean, even some small hills, like 600 feet, I mean, it's small compared to the White Mountains, but still you get a good workout, break a sweat, and have some fun.
I definitely agree with that. Let's talk about books. I always give people this option as well. What is your favorite book, a book that's made a big impact on your life, or your favorite book that you've read recently?
All right, so favorite book would probably be Stranger in a Strange Land or Starship Troopers by Heinlein. Both books probably equally favorite, and a lot of commentary on political life, and I think that's probably why they're my favorites all time.
All right. And do you have a favorite restaurant or restaurants in Rhode Island?
Favorite restaurant?
I know those are like, we say these are the fun questions, but they're almost
they're
like
challenging.
they're the hardest ones, right? So that's why I was saying favorite restaurant. Now I say restaurants. So you can name a couple if you like.
I know in Providence, I mean, Rhode Island is the heart of restaurants. So Melting Pot in Providence, big fan of. And then in Exeter, we have Celestial Cafe, good favorite. They actually do a lot of local food, so they'll take harvest from local farms, and then tell you which farm is actually you're eating the lettuce from or you're eating the carrots from, which is really cool.
I like that because then you know what, kind of going back to beer once again, you know what you're putting in your body, you know where your food's coming
It's
from.
healthy and safe, and you know you're promoting the local economy as well. So.
I think that's important. You've talked a little bit about politics, and one of your most important books that you've
Yep.
read in your life has to do with politics. Do you have future political ambitions?
I don't know. I think right now I'm happy in Exeter. It's home. I'm comfortable there. I have been asked actually by a lot of other people, hey, are you going to run for higher office? Right now, no, but not going to rule it out in the future.
Not going to rule it out in the future. I have to ask you, talking about politics, right? You might as well. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly.
As we move forward, we're in February 2018. What do you hope comes about for 2018 Rhode Island? Just looking at the future, whether it's community, whether it's businesses, whether it's politics, what do you hope to see for Rhode Island as we move forward in 2018?
I think after 17 and all the divisiveness, I'm hoping to have a less divisive conversation going in 2018. I know it is election year in Rhode Island. We have the governorship coming up. So there will be a lot of back and forth in that, but I'm hoping it's a conversation as opposed to yelling at each other. So I'm hoping for calmer.
I definitely would agree with that. Kids, you mentioned you have two young boys. When there is divisiveness and there is not a lot of calm, kids pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about in our conversation here that we have to work for a future for our children. Do you think that's important when you're talking about whether it's a political message or whatever it is that we need to lead by example for our children when we're talking about politics?
Absolutely. They do pick up on it. I'd like to say my TV's not on that much, but then when we do have the news on, sometimes I'll have the nightly news and I'm like, oh, change the channel. Because the subliminal messages that I think that's sending, sometimes I think they do pick up on, and they'll ask questions, and then that leads to a conversation. And then as you enter the political time and the ads start coming out, do we want them exposed to some of those, especially the angrier messages? So I do think we have to think of who is seeing all these messages, not just who our target is.
I think that's important as we move forward for a better, brighter 2018 in Rhode Island and everywhere else, right?
True.
Well, thank you once again, Kevin, for
Thank you,
being
Molly.
our
Yeah, for having
next
me.
emerging leader. It's been so fun to chat with
Thank you. Been honored.
I have a couple other books I need to read, I suppose. So,
Sure.
put them on my book list. So Kevin, our next emerging leader here on GoLocal Prov, and thanks to United Way for being our partner in this. So thanks so much. We're going to take a break and get set up here for our next guest on GoLocal Live.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Great
thank you.
job.
Thanks.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here on GoLocal Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Welcome back on Friday, February 9th. We are gearing up for Valentine's Day. Yes, believe it or not, it is next week, and I'm happily going to welcome Aralise Johnson. She's with the Providence Flea. Aralise, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So it's very exciting. If you need to do a little bit of shopping for yourself, your Valentine, your Palantine, or your Galentine, yes, there's all these terms now. The Providence Flea has their winter flea and a special Valentine's Day flea coming up this Sunday, February 11th at Hope High School. Talk to us, Aralise, just a little bit about what's happening this weekend.
So, for those of you that don't know, the flea market is kind of a vintage, artisan, and maker market. So we have a lot of vintage things, but we also have new things that people are hand making and they want to show and sell to you guys. This Sunday we have a lot of fun new stuff coming up. We have live entertainment, we have a lot of food that you can look forward to, and we have 60 plus artisan and vintage vendors for you guys to shop.
I think it's so cool. So yeah, new this weekend, live music. So talk to me a little bit about who's coming, who's going to play, what people can hear.
So we are having a band called Wavelength. They are a ukulele trio, and they play covers of pop and rock music. And they're going to be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And one of the girls in the trio is actually a daughter of one of the vendors that will be there as well.
Oh, that's super fun, keeping it local. Ukulele trio, I definitely need to get them on the show and listen to this because it sounds really fun.
I know.
So live music happening. The Providence Flea always does an amazing job of bringing in unique and really good artisans. Talk to us a little bit about, and then we'll get to the stuff because great gift ideas. Right. Talk to us a little bit about the quality of the vendors that are at the Providence Flea.
So the vendors all have such an interesting, unique way to each of them. Each of them are very different, and a lot of them they kind of act as a community. So when you come, it's not like each separate vendor. Everybody is very nice, and they all talk to each other. The old vendors, not the old vendors, but the vendors that have been coming for a while, they help the new vendors out so they get the hang of things. It's just really a close-knit community. It's a lot of fun.
It's a good community. Okay, so let's get to some of the stuff because we're here helping you with Valentine gift ideas for you or for someone else, because I know when I go shopping, I normally shop a lot for myself.
Yep.
Even when I have other people in mind, I usually pick up something for me along the way. So we wanted to help you, give you some Valentine gift ideas. What I love about the Providence Flea and some other local companies, what's nice is that you're supporting local artisans, local vendors, which is so great and really the spirit of Rhode Island. So let's talk a little bit about some of the products that you have, whether you're shopping for a Valentine's Day gift idea or maybe you just want to do some local shopping. So talk to us a little bit about what you brought.
Okay, so we'll start with the vintage stuff. We have two booksellers that will be there selling poems and themed books.
Cool.
And then this right here is actually our locket, and that's from a vintage jewelry seller.
This is beautiful.
I love that.
So this is, like vintage jewelry?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous.
Yes, and if vintage isn't your thing, there's also going to be new jewelry sellers as well and makers. So they all, some of the vendors do make their own stuff. We really like to go with that handmade, crafty theme. We have another vintage ceramic bird.
Kind of like a lovebird.
Right, for Valentine's Day.
A lovebird, and like with the vintage books of poems, love sonnets, things like that. So getting really like unique with your gift ideas rather than just pulling something off the shelf.
Right, and that's what I love about the Flea is there's so many unique things where you can't just you can't have in your mind what you want to buy. The Flea, you go and you shop around and you see all of these interesting things that you might not have thought about buying for somebody, and you're like, oh, maybe they would really like that.
That's awesome. Okay, what else did you bring?
So I brought this sweater, and it's by a woman, Elena Corello, and she has, she makes her sweaters, and she has a ton of Valentine's themed sweaters to sell to you guys. So make sure.
A little more.
Okay.
That's so cute.
We also have vintage Valentines. I never even like thought of this as a thing. Like, so you have vintage Valentines, and as I said, if you're not into the vintage theme, we also have new card makers, and you have them for your Valentines, maybe an ex, maybe not.
That's funny. So you can throw some shade on your ex.
Right.
This is so adorable, and I love the idea of, instead of, you know, getting super commercial, this is handmade in the U.S. So you're supporting local business, and then you're reducing, if you're an eco-friendly person, you're reducing the amount of, you're reducing shipping, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think this is really interesting. So there is a company at the flea, or a seller at the flea, I should say, and they sell candles, and they hand make them, and this is actually an upcycled bottle.
Oh,
so
cool.
they cut it and they sand it, and then they put the wax inside
Scoot
of
over
it.
a little bit.
You can barely even, like, when you look at that, you're not like, oh yeah, that's, you know, that's a bottle. But then, like, when you know, it's like, wow.
It's a Prosecco bottle. That's so
Right,
cool.
I know.
And it smells good too. Oh my gosh, that's really fun. What a great idea.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a ton of candle makers, people who are selling lotions and body scrubs if you're into that kind of thing, jewelry makers. They have a ton of artists and vintage sellers.
I always love when I go into antique shops looking at old postcards, old pictures, and that's become really popular too.
Yeah.
Is I always thought it was kind of weird at first looking through old photos of other people I don't know, but it's become really popular that people buy old photos and then frame them themselves, or you can buy them, but like old postcards. So here's a vintage Valentine. I think that's so neat.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting too if you can hear the backstory of where they've, where the vendor has collected these items from.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to talk about. Okay, what about this clock?
So the clock, this is a floral brass clock. This is another vintage item. I think it's really interesting because you wouldn't just go to a store and like get a random clock. You might, but you know, I love like the vintage theme, and you're right, like it is becoming more popular, and I think with Providence being a really creative city, that a lot of people could come here and find things that they would find really useful.
That's very true. And then of course, local bag maker, right?
Yes, that's actually a bag made out of one of the Providence flea canvases.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
So supporting, we're not gonna hold it up because then we'll knock things down.
Right.
And I have a history of knocking things down with Providence Flea, so we're not gonna do that. But it's gorgeous. So open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Hope High School. Good food happening, live music, and then you also support every winter flea and in the summertime as well, supporting a community or a nonprofit. Talk to us about what's on tap this weekend.
So the nonprofit community aspect that we're having at the flea this weekend is Girl Scout Troop 54. They'll be selling their cookies. I'm going to try not to buy any, but I can't promise anything. I love supporting my Girl Scouts, but, you know.
But, you know, you have to,
The Valentine's
it's for a good cause.
Right,
Exactly.
you're right.
And then what else? So we're still in the winter season. Obviously, summer is always huge, but you guys are doing this all winter and then into the spring, right? What other dates do you have on tap?
Yeah, so the dates are actually listed right here. So we have our February 11th, 25th. It's every second and fourth Sunday through April, and then May is kind of our break until the summer. Every Sunday will be in the summer. So it's, if you can remember, every second and fourth Sunday.
And are you looking to incorporate more live music? So if people are interested in showcasing what they have, can people contact the flea? Is that going to be a regular thing from now on?
Yeah, absolutely. They try to do live music every time we have the flea because it kind of just makes it more fun. You know, people don't feel so awkward just like walking around. Like, it kind of relaxes everybody, and it's just a fun time to have the live music. So if you're interested in that, as well as the vendors, you can actually go on our website, providenceflea.com. And it's a really simple, basic website, so it shouldn't be a problem finding anything on it. But you go to the vendor tab, and it will bring you to an application, and you just fill out your basic information. If you're applying as a vendor, they ask that you include some photos so that we can see that you would be a good fit for our market, such as like vintage stuff, handmade stuff. we don't really have mass-produced stuff because we like to keep it local and creative. So if you are interested in vending or being a live music show, then you can go right on the vendor application, and that'll help us.
I think that's nice too when you are going to the flea, you're not going to see these mass-produced items, these mass-marketed items, because it is a juried market.
Right, and you can find those mass-produced items online anywhere. The vintage stuff is really unique. That's why I love this market.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Thank you so much, Airlise, for joining us today. Hopefully we gave you a couple ideas, whether you go to the Valentine's market or not. Hey, take a date, right?
Yeah,
if you're looking for something to do, it's free to go to, right? We just gave you a lot of ideas.
Right, it's supposed to rain on Sunday. It's indoors, so it's perfect.
Take a date. Take your best friend. Go grab some food and do a little shopping.
Oh yes, we have delicious food.
Supporting local businesses, it's always a good thing to do. So Airlise, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to wrap up here on Go Local Live on this Friday edition. Hopefully you can enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Kate Nagel kicks things off here in just a few with news and politics and much more. I'm Molly O'Brien. Have a great weekend, everyone.